Good morning, reception. Your topic session for today is going to be looking at and learning about the life cycle of a frog. Here we go. So just some key vocabulary that you might come across while we're talking about the life cycle of a frog. So the first one is frog spawn. This is a group of eggs laid by frogs. I think you all would have heard the word frog spawn before. Oh, I hope you remember this one. This was on our last life cycle PowerPoint. This is metamorphosis. Can you remember what that is? It's a transformation period in an animal's life. So in the butterfly life cycle, it was a transformation from a caterpillar to a butterfly. And another word that I think is a really important one at the minute is amphibian. This is a group of animals that live in water and on land. So frogs are amphibians. Okay, so the first stage of the life cycle of a frog, just like our butterfly one, is the egg. Okay, so frogs' eggs are laid in a group in the water by a frog. We call this frog spawn. An interesting fact as well about frog spawn is that frogs can lay up to 4,000 eggs at a time, and they all stick together and they float around the water together. After about 6 to 21 days, it depends on the species of frog, the eggs will hatch into tadpoles. Now I know one of our children has found some frog spawn and has been sending me pictures of it, so that'll be interesting to see if you could record the life cycle maybe with photos and send them me. Thanks for doing that, Jamie. Okay, so after the egg stage, the next stage is the tadpole. So as the tadpole hatches from the egg, just like the caterpillar, tadpoles eat the egg first before they go on to eating the plants in the water. So it spends time swimming in the water, eating and growing, and tadpoles have no arms or legs, they have a tail for swimming with, and it usually takes 6 to 9 weeks to fully develop as a tadpole. So that's a long time, isn't it? Again, this depends on the species of frog. An interesting fact, at 6 weeks, around 6 weeks, a tadpole's mouth starts to widen like a wide-mouthed frog. Okay, let's move on to the next one. The third stage, okay, this is looking less like a tadpole now, more like a frog. This is the froglet stage. Around week 10, the tadpole sprouts legs and then arms. So that's just right, the back legs come first and then the front legs. Their body turns into a longer shape and they have a much bigger head. Also around 10 weeks the eyes start to bulge, just like you would see on a frog. Also what happens during this stage is the tail of the tadpole, which is now a froglet, starts to shrink. The final stage of the life cycle is the adult frog. So a froglet, I told you that the tail starts to shrink. So before it turns into a frog, it has to wait for the tail to drop off and also for the lungs to finish developing. When this has happened, the frogs can then make their way onto the land, and that is why frogs are called amphibians, because the beginning of their life cycle they live in water, and by the adult stage of the life cycle they live on land and in water. So that's why they're amphibians. interesting fact about the adult frog is that it can shed its skin, and it usually does it weekly. And unlike mammals and different types of animals, amphibians like frogs eat that skin to keep all the nutrients going. It usually takes between 4 to 5 months for the full life cycle to be completed. When this frog is fully developed, he will go off to find a mate, and the life cycle will start all over again, just like our butterfly life cycle, with the adult frog laying the eggs. I just want you to pause this video here now, and I want you to please copy this link into your search engine, and I just want you to take some time to watch this video of the life cycle of a frog. It's there's some beautiful photos on there, and I want you to see again if you can point out each stage of the life cycle that we've just discussed. So pause this now and go on to that link. Thank you. Okay, I'm hoping everybody's back. So this is just a recap of our frog life cycle. So first of all, we start off with the eggs, which we call frog spawn. Okay, and the adult frog can lay up to 4,000 eggs at a time, and they all stick together and float around together. The second stage is the tadpole stage, and these tadpoles hatch from the egg and again swim around in the water. They don't have arms or legs, but they have a tail to help them. For a tadpole to grow into a froglet, the back legs grow first, and then the front legs and their tails begin to shrink. There's lots more differences as well. Their head gets bigger, ready for the transformation to an adult frog. When the froglet's lungs have developed and the tail has dropped off, the froglet will then move onto land and become an adult frog. The adult frog, it usually takes about 4 to 5 months for an adult frog to fully transform, but then that adult frog will then move on to find a mate and start the life cycle all over again. That leads us onto our challenge for today. So today's challenge is to create your own life cycle of a frog. Don't forget to add labels and a description of each stage. I really enjoyed looking at your butterfly life cycles. Lots of children had lots of different ideas of how to present it, and we really did enjoy looking at those. So off you go. I can't wait to see them. Thank you. Bye.